Well, it is a 4th of July holiday weekend here in Richmond, Virginia, and most people enjoying an extended weekend that includes Chris Dunnavant from the Virginia Department of Game and Fisheries. But there are two things that Chris does not take time off from: fishing and the weekend with Anthony Opperman. And Chris joining us remotely. We're going to get to where Chris is headed in just a second. But Chris, I guess first and foremost, unfortunately, maybe have to start this segment on a bit of a somber note. We've got the Andy Griffith theme song, and Andy Griffith passing away this week.
Yes, that's really a sad thing, and he certainly leaves a legacy of his television and film career, and in his hometown of Mount Airy, North Carolina. It's really what Mayberry was based off of, and in fact, he's done a lot of work in that town, built a theater there, so he leaves a legacy of passing on all that he has done in his life to benefit others. And, even in Mount Airy, they have some actors that are lookalikes from characters from the Andy Griffith Show, and they kind of walk around town and to attract the tourists and things like that. So that's pretty neat. His memory of him will live on for quite a while.
And it most certainly will as we continue this segment on this show. Well, Chris, moving forward, we talked about it last week. David Dudley was right on the cusp of claiming he pretty much almost had it mathematically locked up that he was going to be the Angler of the Year because of his start at the most recent FLW Tour event on Lake Champlain up in New York. But not only does Dudley wrap up the FLW Angler of the Year title, he also ends up winning that tournament on Lake Champlain. Oftentimes in sport we talk about legacy, and for Dudley, second straight Angler of the Year award in FLW, his third career. What is his legacy right now moving forward, and just in terms of the all-time greats?
Anthony, I think we're just seeing the beginning of the David Dudley chapter in professional bass fishing, and it's really just the sky's the limit with this guy. I think every bass fishing fan is looking forward to what David's going to do in the coming decade. I believe 10 years ago, Rick Clunn said about Kevin Van Dam, the next 10 years will be a real determining factor on where Kevin will be in the annals of bass fishing, and Kevin has lived up to that and has the reputation of being the best of all time. And Kevin certainly has plenty of years left in him, and he fishes the BASS side, the Bassmaster Tournament Trail, and he's dominant there. And Dudley seems to be the dominant guy on the FLW side. But David, at his age, in his mid-30s, I think he's 36, 37, he's in his prime. And so it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with him. But already, with what he's accomplished, he's the only angler. Well, he's tied with Clark Wendlandt for 3 Angler of the Year wins. So he's tops in that category and many other categories, including all-time money wins. But I think just stay tuned. Keep tuned in to what David Dudley's doing, and let's see what he's going to do in the coming years. He indicated that he's looking forward to competing at a high level. He's not indicating at all that he's going to let off. He wants more records. He wants more titles. And so look out, FLW anglers.
Well, and you need to look no further than his performance at the tournament at Lake Champlain. I mean, here's a guy who, we were talking about it off the air, didn't have a very good day going into the final day of the tournament. Maybe looks like he's not going to win the tournament. And make no mistake, even though he mathematically had Angler of the Year wrapped up, he still wanted to win that tournament, and he pulled a surprise on everybody that final day.
He absolutely did. I watched some of the coverage online on FLW's website, and they interviewed him Saturday after the Day 3 weigh-in. And he really indicated he only had 15 pounds, his lightest stringer of the tournament. And that's, Lake Champlain, if you're in one of the top tier of anglers for the week, that's not a big stringer. And he indicated that, wow, his stuff is really wearing out. His fish are he's caught the best fish, and he's just really not having the opportunity to catch the big ones. And he was just indicating that, I'm going to have to really practice tomorrow. Here he's going into the final day of the tournament as the leader, and he says, I've got to practice tomorrow. I have a feeling I've eliminated a lot of water where I don't need to be fishing, but I've got narrowed down what I probably need to be doing, but I'm going to be practicing tomorrow and fishing water that, I don't have a lot of experience with. And he made a comment that, if I win, it may be just because I have already a couple-pound lead. But so I'm sure the folks behind him, especially Jacob Poroznik, who was in second, they were chomping at the bit looking for a weakness and an opportunity to overcome David Dudley. And, David goes out the last day and catches 20 pounds, and just bounces right back and just doesn't give anyone an opportunity to overtake him. He's just a phenomenal angler.
Chris Dunnavant from the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries joined us on the road. And again, we'll get to where Chris is headed in just 1 second. But, Chris, you bring up Jacob, and here you got two Virginia anglers finishing 1 and 2, not only on the tournament in Lake Champlain, but also 1 and 2 in the Angler of the Year race in the FLW Tour. Do you think it's a coincidence that when you're looking at some of the top anglers in this tour, that there are a couple of Virginians right there at the top?
No, I don't. Not at all. And David and Jacob, both phenomenal anglers. And in watching Jacob, I remember I've known Jacob for years when he was a teenager and fishing local tournaments, and remember him. And he's somebody that's been watching on the FLW Tour, and he's a very consistent angler, and he's just been improving year after year after year. And one of these days, he's going to get that break, and he's going to start winning tournaments and already, obviously, competitive for Angler of the Year this year. But, Virginia is a wonderful place as a training ground to learn about bass fishing and to be a versatile angler that will make one successful. We've got various types of lakes, shallow lakes with heavy cover. We've got deep, clear lakes, different types of reservoirs, rivers, tidal rivers, and there's just such a variety of fishing in Virginia that I believe really is an excellent training ground. And if you're gonna be the type of angler that's gonna win Angler of the Year or be in that race, you've got to be versatile. You can't be just a one horse kind of guy or a one show kind of guy where you've got one technique that you're dominant in. But you've got to have a versatile background and lots of opportunities, lots of tricks in your bag. So Virginia really just caters to that. There's just such wonderful bass fishing all over the state, and I think we're seeing the evidence of that.
Chris Dunnavant from the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, our weekly wildlife conversation. Chris, taking time to join us on his time off. Chris, where are you headed?
Well, I'm heading out west. I'm heading to Radford, Virginia. Right now, I'm going to fish either the New River today, or I'm going to fish Gatewood Reservoir out there. I may fish both. I might fish a few hours in one and a few hours in the other. Vacation. I can just kind of go and a little mini vacation and fish what I want to do and just kind of see what the moment leads me when I get out there. And I'm looking forward to it. The New River, there's a park in Radford, Bissett Park, and just below Bissett Park, there's a public ramp, and I can launch my kayak there and paddle up and down and just kind of fish in that area, and there's tremendous fishing right within sight of the ramp. So I may do that, and I had my friend recommended Gatewood Reservoir while I'm out there, and it's apparently some excellent fishing. It's a park, and it's got some great sunfish opportunities. They catch a lot of big ones there, and a lot of citations come out of there. But also, it's got at that part of the state, you often find smallmouth bass in the lakes, whereas in the central part of the state, it's going to be exclusively largemouth. But over there, you can find some smallmouth in the lakes. So I love catching smallmouth. Maybe I'll have an opportunity to do some of that, not only in the New River, but maybe at Gatewood Reservoir.
And in typical Department of game and inland fisheries fashion. I know you're going to mix in a little bit of personal activities too, but maybe a different take on a wedding reception. Obviously, I'm in the midst of planning wedding reception myself. Maybe this is something I should consider, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's a real interesting concept, and it happens to be I'm heading out for my friend's wedding, and he actually is a Department of Game and Inland Fisheries employee.
I didn't even know that when I asked you that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was funny that you said that, and he's he and his bride-to-be, they've really enjoyed the New River and fishing out there and taking their families out there, and so they decided to get married right on the bank of the New River. And so the wedding will include the ceremony right on the river, and then a barbecue lunch, and then after that, not your typical reception. Hey, it's time to go out on the river and fish and play in the water and tube and do all those things. And so, that's the kind of reception that I really like, Anthony. It's something you should definitely consider.
Well, I'll run it past Bree and see if she would be down for potentially just going fishing and tubing and everything else. Although the one thing that will hold us back from terms of playing in the water is the fact that it's going to be in November. So we may have to keep it to just fishing. But, we will be at the boathouse at Sunday Park. So I don't know. Maybe there is an opportunity. Yeah, there may be an opportunity there. I can bring some fishing rods and do a little fishing education, for the folks, and they can fish after the wedding, after the reception. So, something for you to check with Bree about. I'll put that one in the back pocket. I don't know if we've registered at Bass Pro Shop just yet, but if we do that, we might have to.
Yeah, definitely you want to put that on top of the list.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Good luck out there on the New River, and you guys have a good time.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I really appreciate it. Just want to encourage all the folks out there, be safe on the water this weekend. A lot of people will be boating and trying to escape the heat by having some time on the water. So just be safe. Just make sure you don't drink and boat, and just watch out for the other guy, and always take the safe option.
That's Chris Dunnavant from the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, our weekly wildlife conversation here on the weekend with Anthony Opperman. When we come back, I've got my game plan for the weekend as we bring this show to a close.
The show is almost over, but the weekend is just getting started. More of The Weekend with Anthony Opperman is next on Sports Radio 910.